Good morning, Minnesota DFLers, and welcome to the DFL Daily. Richard Carlbaum here, chair of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. So great to be with you this week. It's Monday, June 22nd, and we're here each and every day, Monday through Friday at 10:45 to give you the message of the action and the tool to be empowered. Lots happening this last weekend. Oh, my goodness. A lot of sun and a lot of community festivals and events happening from Juneteenth to parades. Thank you to everybody who's out about this weekend representing the DFL and your favorite candidates at all these community-based events. There's lots more coming up. In Itasca County DFL is on the road in Deer River at 5 p.m. tonight. And the Environmental Caucus has their annual member meeting tonight, virtually at 6. I think the Feminist Caucus also has their annual meeting tonight. SD 31 is having their neighborhood ice cream social hour tomorrow night in Andover at 5:30 p.m. And then we have lots more coming up. This weekend is going to be Twin Cities Pride. It's going to be the Hmong Festival. There's going to be a lot happening this weekend. I can't wait to see folks out and about and being in community representing the DFL. All of these events are at dfl.org/events. Get out, celebrate, and bring someone new to the party. All right, let's get into today's topic on the call. We are going to be joined by Asha Carroll, our Senior Director of Communications Research and Data. Asha and her team work each week on a message memo. This message memo is a compilation of information from the House and Senate caucuses, the governor's office, the attorney general's office, the federal delegation, everybody in the DFL ecosystem, helping us understand what is it that we are likely to be talking about this week. And it's meant to be a tool for you all in your local units to make sure that you can do your own posts and things like that throughout the week on the same topic. It is our effort to make sure everybody is singing from the same song sheet. Asha, you are the one who compiles that song sheet. Welcome back to the call, Asha.
Good morning, Richard. Good to be back on this Monday morning. Thank you.
Did you
Uh,
ever think in your career, so people don't know this about you, Asha, but you are a professionally trained opera singer.
yes, yes.
So you know music well, and you know what it's like to compose and bring things together. And that's what you do each and every week with this message memo. What are we talking about this week?
Yeah, that's right. You know what? It's all about the story that we want to tell, right? Whether we're putting together an opera or we're putting together. And if some opera is quite political, by the way. By the way, we're putting together a story here too, and it's certainly political, and it's people's lives at stake is what we're talking about this week, and so often. Uh, Look, I know there was a lot of distraction over the weekend. I'm just going to name it directly. Trump's reflecting pool renovation failed. I know that we all loved to see it. But while that was falling apart this weekend, some things far more consequential were brewing. And so we'll get right into this message. And that is Trump's conservative majority Supreme Court is wrapping up the current term. And their extreme rulings could affect your rights and your freedoms guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. And here in Minnesota, we respect your right to make your own decisions and your own voice heard. That's core to our democracy and the values that we share, especially as Minnesotans. So this week, please put these ideas front and center in your communications. Like Richard said, that's what we're here for. First, democracy means respecting your fundamental rights and freedoms. It means upholding your constitutional rights to belong, to participate in your community, make personal decisions about your health care, and so much more. Democracy also means you have a say. You have the right to vote, you have the right to speak your mind, and you have the right to have your voice heard. Now, Trump's Supreme Court is the most conservative of our lifetime. His handpicked justices continue to make sweeping decisions for you. They are making decisions for you instead of letting you decide for yourself. Now, here's where some contradiction comes in. Trump and his allies claim to believe in states' rights and individual freedom, right? You heard them campaign on that, but only when it serves their agenda. When states choose a different path, Trump and his allies turn to the courts to overrule states and communities that disagree with them. It's all about what they want to do for them, not for you, not for us. In Minnesota, we believe decisions about our lives belong to us. We've got good heads on our shoulders, and we know what's best for our families, for our communities, and for our state. And at the DFL, we are fighting to protect the fundamental freedoms of every Minnesotan and keep Minnesota a place where everyone can chart their own path. That's our message this week.
That is so critical. Thank you, Asha, for outlining that. We're highlighting this because in just a few days, the Supreme Court ends their current term, and we expect this week and next week to have some doozies of rulings coming out of the Supreme Court that directly impact our rights. And it wasn't just too many years ago when, of course, the Roe versus Wade decision came out, overturning Roe versus Wade. Really a consequential decision, and we need to remind Minnesotans this week that while the Supreme Court can issue its rulings, it's really places like Minnesota that safeguard our fundamental freedoms and rights as human beings. So here are the facts. High level, this is what we're up against. The Supreme Court, which has a 6-3 conservative majority, has nearly 20 cases left to decide in its current term. Folks, it's June 22nd. Their term ends at the end of June. Some of the most consequential rulings could happen as soon as tomorrow. When Trump's handpicked justices showed signs of straying from his plan earlier this year, he publicly shamed them as disloyal and, quote, gone weak, stupid, and bad, unquote. Trump, the great orator that he is once again trying to use intimidation and media smears to get what he wants, this time with the Supreme Court justices that he picked. Ahead of the country's 250th birthday, the bedrock principles of federalism, the uniquely American system of power sharing between Washington and the states, it's being tested. We'll drop an article in the chat that breaks this down in detail so that you can take a look.
All right. You know what comes next, and it's our quotes of the week. And I know we've been having some fun with these. Sometimes we'll share quotes from our DFLers that speaking up in support of Minnesotans, and sometimes we share the terrible things that Republicans are saying. So I'm going to share 3 quotes this morning. They are all from Donald Trump, and I've said it before. You've heard it here. We're going to let his words speak for themselves. Donald Trump is only consistent in his message with who he thinks should hold power, himself and his billionaire Epstein class. So listen to the change in his message over the past few years. In 2018, Donald Trump said, "Make states the laboratories of democracy once again." All right, he was all in speaking for those states' rights in 2018. In 2025, when asked if he has to uphold the Constitution, Trump simply replied, "I don't know." Okay, well, it should come as no surprise to anyone here, but he's on the record. He said it. He doesn't know if he should uphold the Constitution. And finally, here's the pivot he made. So 2018, he's saying states' rights, yes, make them the laboratories of democracy. Now, this year, Donald Trump said, quote, "States are just an agent of the federal government." So that doesn't sound like states' rights to me. That sounds like Donald Trump changing his position in real time for all of us to see. And why is he doing that? Why do Trump and Republicans do this? Because they will say anything they need to make things better for themselves. That is who they're pulling for, not the American people, and certainly not for Minnesotans.
So we're going to drop 2 more links in the chat to give you a look at the rulings that are coming up this week. We've got one from NBC News and one from CNN. The NBC News one is titled "Trump Faces Supreme Court Showdown as Major Rulings Loom." And the CNN article is "Supreme Court Turns Toward an Explosive Final Month with Trump's Priorities at Stake." There's a lot about to be happening here. Turning this week's message into action is the most important part, and we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get this message out there. I hope that everyone on the call we'll put one DFL event they're signed up for or will sign up for in the chat. Let's see where you're planning to go. So go to dfl.org/events to find an event. We win by listening to our neighbors. That is the number one priority here at the DFL. We are hoping that you'll sign up for at least one event this week that helps us charge past our goal of 100,000 doors knocked by the end of June. So go to dfl.org/events and find a door knock near you. Sign up. Go door knocking this week during the evening. Go door knocking this weekend. Let's get out there and hit as many doors as we can. And tomorrow I'll be back again answering your questions right here on the call. Thanks to all of those who shared a question last week. It was really a really fun call for us to engage questions that you have on your mind. So fill out this form that we're going to drop into the chat. If you have a topic or a question you want me to address tomorrow on the daily call, we'll drop that link in the chat right now, and I hope to be able to answer some of your questions. So that's it, folks. This week's message memo. Now you have the message, the action, and the tools to be empowered today. Thanks to everybody. Happy Monday. A reminder that this Friday is the start of early voting for the August 11th primary. So we need you to get out there. If you live in CD2, vote for Matt Little. If you live in CD8, vote for Trina Swanson. And of course, wherever you live in Minnesota, vote for Peggy Flanagan for U.S. Senate starting Friday for early voting for the August 11th primary. Again, we have 134 days until the November 3rd midterm election. Let's go win this thing. Thanks, everybody.